I don't know how a stable prepares itself for a day like this, because I've never seen too many people have runners like this. But let's launch ourselves into race number 1, where you've got all of March Music, Royal Image, and She Rules.
Andrew, they're all 3 very nice fillies, I think. This year our 2 years have obviously taken a bit longer to come to hand than they normally do. But they're nice fillies. They'll obviously all need the experience, but I'd probably go with March Music.
Makes an appearance on the track for the first time.
Yes, she's. It's going to be a bit short for her. She's looking for much further, but they have to start their career somewhere. So it's basically going to be purely an educational run for her.
Destiny's Child first run. She's going to be on the green side, and she's a neat filly, lovely action. Comes from Spencer in the Cape, and he's obviously done the groundwork with her, but she's a very neat filly. I do expect her to be green. She was green in her gallop. She's been through the gates twice, but the experience is going to count.
TOKOVAR?
She's come on smartly, and each run she's just giving me a little bit extra. Her last run was a decent type of run. Her brother won on the poly track for me, the type of action she has. So I think she's leaning towards a poly win for me, but she can place it.
What about Wait a Sec?
Wait a Sec, nicely bred filly, but bred for a bit of a trip. These Noble Tunes are going to go a bit of ground, and she's out of a staying family. I know the family pretty well. She's going to be looking for further.
Okay, lovely. Then on to another very busy race where you've got all of La SCALA, Rebel Wilson, Seattle Lily, and Sunny in race 2.
Well, SCALA, the groom that's riding him, he's put a lot of work into him, so it was only fair that he gets to ride him in the work riders. I'd probably have to side with Seattle Lily because she's got the form. Then the little 2-year-old, she's not bad. I think it's very good for them to have the work riders races because these guys get so excited about it, and that's when you hear them cantering to the when you see them cantering to the start, you hear the crowd comes alive. So I think it's very good for them.
Goddess Aurelia has been a disappointment to all of us. She has all the ability in the world, but as soon as a horse seems to challenge her in the final stages, she spits the dummy out and tosses in the towel. So this is going to be her last chance. We have put her in the work rider, hoping that, you know, with somebody that she's familiar with, she keeps going. If she puts her best foot forward, she should be quite competitive, but we're just hoping for the best with her.
Pepper Dust, a very nice last run, first run back after a break. She didn't shape in the poly, doesn't enjoy the tight track. She's better on the straight, it was a good last effort. I think she's a big running Andy. Sport Chic in place, she's also come on, hasn't got great front legs at all. But you know, trained the half brother, he did very well for us down here. She's a big strong filly, but terrible front legs, and I think she can place.
This is ballistic. All of Lewis Lane, Miss Chance, Tango Steps, and TASUNKE, and then the Bluff to wrap it up.
I think well, 4 of these fillies have been crying out to go over distance. Lewis Lane won at 1200 in open company, open maiden. So I think she also does want the extra. So basically they're all really going out just to get the experience, but TASUNKE's already proven that she can go 1400. So she probably, with Lewis Lane, would be the best out of the bunch.
Fantastic. Then on to the first leg of the place accumulator, where we're hoping that there's going to be sanity and not just chaos.
Well, I'm hoping there's going to be just chaos. Her first run was really a good run. It was far too short for her. She was really, really green. She ran around all over the show, and she's been looking for, you know, the further distance, so she should be running at them at the finish.
Then on to a very busy race. French Nobility, Clever Kathy, Laterals Flash, and Petipa.
Yeah, it's particularly busy, Andy, because, you know, it's a weekend where we've got a lot of clients coming down, but also we're on the turf for a 1400. The 7 furlongs, the first one we get for the fillies over a little bit of ground. So these girls are all looking for it. Clever Kathy's got to be the best one of mine. She won a decent raid last time out. She's got that come on look about her. And she's a Bold Savannah that's doing well, bred by Jill, a lovely big filly, and she'll enjoy the trip down to the ground. The other girls all going to need the experience, I feel. French Nobility, nice first run, running on a little bit late, and she's going to enjoy the trip she can place.
It's not every day that you have this many runners, but I'm sure it's very exciting nevertheless. And you've got quite an easy way into the day, starting the first leg of the Pick Six with Honey's Legacy.
Yes, Honey's Legacy's come back from a long break. She would probably be better over a bit further, but she's definitely a good run to the exotics. I wouldn't leave her out of the exotics, but so I think Justin's got the hot pot favourite in the race, so I'll probably put that with one other.
BURGEE's going to be looking for much further. She's a better horse on the grass. I've taken her from the sprints now to a 1600, but I actually think she's looking for the 1900s, 2000s. So I'm just hoping for a decent run from her.
Excellent. Then you just single-fisted with WAHI in race 4, first leg of the pick 6.
Enjoys the turf. She enjoys to be let run and gallop. Andy, she's got a place chance. She's quite a lot filly. It's impeccably bred. You know, I wish she would run like a breeding, but I'm just hoping to place there.
Okay, on to the 5th race with some small reprieve by not having a runner in the 4th. Greenfield and Highland Captain are your 2 representatives there.
Highland Captain's shown so much at home, and it's about time he actually just brought it to the races. We've tried him over a couple of different distances, but I think this is obviously what he would enjoy. And then Greenfield, he won very nicely last time out. I thought he might need it a little bit, but he came to the party and won.
Yeah, Andrew, he's a little bit under sufferance, unfortunately. It's difficult to find those lower division races for him, but he's improving all the while in town, and came with a couple of issues, and we've sorted them all out. Work is pretty good, and hoping to run back end of Quartet. You know, it's a fairly strong field. That also Adam's Arabian Dynasty won very well first time out. He'll probably go back to back. Hoping to run back end of Quartet. I'll be very happy.
Larimar and Paper Town.
Both at their peak, Andy. Larimar was a good run last time, met a little bit of interference when it mattered most, and I think he should have run a bit closer. His penultimate run, he ran a decent race, and I think that was his run after coming back from a bleeding suspension, so he should be at peak now. Looking tremendous, lightweight, decent draw. He'll be knocking. And Paper Town running 2 features his last 2 runs. A mile is his max, Andy, and we don't run from a good draw, so it's against us, and I think it's a pretty competitive field. There's quite a few in there with shots.
Leadman ran a very good race last time out with Bernard, and I'm very glad that Bernard begged for the ride, and I'm very glad to have him back on the horse. And he tucked it in, and he said to us, Gavin, don't be scared to tuck this horse in. He ran on really nicely with Bernie. So yeah, as I said, I'm very happy that he's back on it. And our Sable Companion, ultra consistent. He's always thereabouts. He's way overdue for a win, and he worked very well. I must say on Monday or Tuesday, he worked very, very well. So he'll run a big race.
Fantastic. Then on to the 6th race. This is one of the supporting features. Say no more.
Yeah, he's a top little horse, Andrew. He ran a very good race. Everything went wrong in the race. He got squeezed and he stumbled. Then he made up too much ground too quickly, and he's extremely well. He worked very, very well yesterday. I've had a very good prep, fit well. I'm very happy with him. The weights are in his favour this time, and he'll be a hell of a lot closer to Alan's filly. And his colt, in fact, with a 2 kg swing. I'm expecting a massive run from him, and hoping we can bring this one home.
Moving on to the Dahlia Plate, you've got all of Borna Bully, Super Socks, The Highway Man, and Tundra.
Borna Bully's done nothing wrong, Andy. He won his first start for me, and then we gulled him, put him away, came back, ran a good second. The next start it went all wrong. He got badly left. He was a bit highly strung on the day. He got left at the start. I think we did our race at the start. We were far back on a quick track, and he ran on late. I don't think the 1200 is going to be a problem for him. I trained the half family member, the plunderer, and he did a good mile for me. But it's going to be other race pans out. He's got to learn to settle because he wants to jump and run. Decent pilot on his back, Richard Ferry. The Highwayman won a good race first time out, running on from behind. So I was very disappointed with his last run. He actually did too much too early. He jumped out, grabbed hold of the bit, and he was gone. And that was our chances on. He did too much in the early part. Expect him to be more settled. He'll be better this time around, and he could be running on at the end. A nice type in the horse, Tundra, a Water Winter. Lovely horse. Haven't pushed him at all. Comes from Aventir, a bull of a horse, strong boy. Decent run in a 5 furlong, going to be looking for the extra trip in the 12, will suit him down to the ground. I think he's a little bit of a lurker with a lightweight on his back, Andy. Super Sock's done nothing wrong, Andy. He just got touched off at his last start. I think he actually saw the competition a bit too late in the race. As the horse challenged him, he started to run on. The 1200 is a little question mark at this stage of his career because he comes out the gates running and he grabs hold of the bit and off he goes. So he's just got to try and be sedate with him. He's done no speed work, so I expect him to be more settled, and I'm just hoping he runs us a big race.
Moving on to the World Sports Betting East Cape Derby, hoping that the Western Cape don't come and plunder the booty again. You are represented by BELONJE and Widow's Lamp in the 7th.
Widow's Lamp won the Oaks very convincingly. We did think that we had a good chance, but the way she won really, I think, surprised all of us. So we're just taking a chance and going for the Derby. She's never been to 4, obviously, and she's really, really a talented little filly, but obviously taking on the boys. And then BELONJE is a nice horse. Hard to believe he's still so immature, being 3-year-old. But I do think he's probably looking for even more ground, and he'll probably be a very smart stayer once he's matured.
Desert Chief, his whole, since the day we arrived in Port Elizabeth, I've always said to the owners, this is going to be my Derby horse. And I'm glad they've stuck by me and we finally got him into the Derby. It's going to be a competitive race. And but his prep run going into the Derby and the Derby plate was really great. And Multigold wants to have his say. Yes. And I think he's going to be quite competitive. I am going to be putting the blinkers back because in the last run he tended to lose concentration a little bit in the latter stages, which cost him a bit. And I think the extra distance is going to suit him as well. And Multigold is a bred out-and-out stayer. And he's a nice handy sort. As you can see, he's nice and calm and relaxed. And I know Callan loves him to bits. All the credit has to go to Mr. Ferraris. He bred him, and he doesn't skimp on anything, giving them everything that they need growing up. And when he sends you a horse, you do know that you've got a 100% sound horse that's capable of going the distance. And if anybody puts their foot wrong, he's going to be picking up all the pieces.
Our horses are very well tested. All of them, all the local horses are going the trip for the first time. I feel the Cape Town horse, I think it's American Landing, the Brett Crawford horse, he raced well over the distance, and it's not a strong derby this year, Andrew, and I actually think he'll take a power of beating, and I think 5-1 is very good value. I think the bookmakers have marked him up completely wrong. I think he should be closer to favourite. A massive runner, purely because he's done that trip. And we're all testing. We're all trying the trip this side. From the local horses, I reckon Alan's horse, if he stays, he'll have a chance as well as Sabbatical. There's nothing much between those two. The fillies, 2400, they might find it a little bit difficult. It's not going to be that easy, especially against those away horses.
Yeah, Golden Shamrock, he loves the trip, and I've slowly brought him along to be, where the trip's going to suit him most. He's at peak. He's very fit. He ran a decent race last time on the poly. I use it as a prep race for this. He's at his best. He'll be racing handy. And I'm just hoping to run a decent race for Brett. It's a very strong field, and at the weights, we've got a hell of a lot to do. Same with CHAPPAQUIDDICK. He won by 7 lengths his maiden on the poly track. A long straight might catch him out. But your half-brother to NGO, who ran third in the Derby with this very same race. So I'm just hoping he gives a good account of himself. He's grown into a big, strong boy, but also he likes to gallop.
Okay, then we move on to the speed machines. The one horse getting on a bit. You can have a picnic on his backside, Brutal Force I refer to. Then you also backed up with Flight Captain, Le Grand Rouge, and the exceptionally talented Pacific Spirit.
He's a lovely horse, does everything right at home, happy horse. He just needs to bring his past form to the races. Then we got Pacific, very, very talented horse, obviously has his problems. Le Grand Rouge, very, very, very talented horse, but very highly strung, so he can fluff his lines at the start sometimes. And Flight Captain, he's just the most magnificent looking captain, our massive big grey horse. I think his races have to work out for him to put his best foot forward.
So if you had to have a proverbial gun to your head, which one would you really pick?
You would have to fire the gun.
Yeah, EXELERO won the East Coast Sprint. He beat the best sprinters in P at level weights. He is giving a bit of weight around to a couple of other horses that ran behind him, but he's obviously a huge runner. And OMEGA ONSLAUGHT, that'll be his biggest danger. He worked exceptionally well on Tuesday, and I'm expecting a big run from him. He did run 3 lengths behind EXELERO last time out, but I think he's going to get a little bit closer. Captain ALFREDO put a line through his last run. His first run back after a break was a good run. Disappointing last time out, put a line through that. As I said, he ran a much better race this time around, and he is working a lot better. And then Starflash needed his last run. He will run a bit closer, but I'm thinking he's looking to go a bit further.
Right, on to the final leg of the jackpot. Just one runner over here. He's a former Michael Azzi inmate. He's been with you for a while. ISPHAN, talented on his day.
Talented on his day. You've got to catch him right, Andy. you know, he tends to want to do a little bit too much the early part of the race, and that was his downfall, his last start. Otherwise, I feel he could have won it, because he grabs hold of the bit and he gallops the early part. You've got to just try and come out sedately and let him settle a bit, so he gives a little bit extra at the end. First time over 6 furlongs down here in PE. I don't know if you're going to see the 6 out. The race will tell, but he's very well in himself, and he's flourished. He looks great. Yeah, Easy Street's done absolutely nothing wrong down here. She's been an absolute shoulder for Nick and for Brett. She'll be off to stud this season. I'm just hoping to get another win under the belt with her. She loves the 5 furlong, loves the turf track. She's definitely a runner. I mean, you've got a strong field, Our Destiny in there, and Starburst Galaxy. So it's going to be a gallop, and it's going to be a great race. I think a very smart race to come. Primrose Lane, 1,000 metres turf track, her optimum. She's got a bit to do at the weights, but she can squeak a place.
It's a very long time since I've seen you as bullish as you were this time last year with a filly called Starburst Galaxy. And a lot of water's flown under the bridge since then. She's won a good few races.
Yes, she's definitely improved. She's matured, and this extra year, as I said, I'm glad that Derek's given us the extra year with her. And we've already won the one listed. There's another 2 still coming up, so things are looking good for her. And we've got to thank Etienne Braun. You know, he's purchased quite a few horses in the yard. I've got a share in 2 of them with him, and he's been godsend to the yard. And he's buying all the time. He thinks Tara's the best thing since bubblegum. But
can she win? Can Starburst Galaxy win again?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, she's waited to win this race. And then the Milkwood Stakes we've nominated today, but that's a handicap, and I'd like to see what weight they give her. You know, unless they bring something really strong from out of town, she'd be a hard horse to beat.
Okay, then you have a nice little break, missing race 9, and then you finish with a flurry with all of Fort Winter, Oriental Tiger, and Princess Rebel.
Princess Rebel, she's a really absolute little speed machine. I hope she gets stronger, that she can maintain that speed right to the end as she gets older. She's got to have a good chance. Fort Winter, he hasn't enjoyed the poly at all, and every time he seems to have found a race on the grass, the meeting was moved to the poly, so his form's just gone backwards. Looking forward to seeing how he's going to perform on the grass again. And Oriental Tiger, he's about as big as Brutal Force at this stage, but he loves his racing. Sometimes gets a little bit unlucky, also has his problems, but he loves his racing.
Both quartet horses, you know, Arctic Blast, he won, I think, 3 in a row, and then he lost his way a little bit, but his rating has dropped. He's in with a place chance. And Flying Rock, he's better on the poly. He could run a place on that grass, but he has shown his best form on the poly.
In the 10th, you've got Buckinghamshire and Dickensian.
Dickensian, Andy, very highly rated, I feel, for where he is. You know, as a winning early with a youngster sometimes doesn't work in your favour, because they whacked his merit rating right up, and he's had to run against older, hard-knocking sprinter types with a high rating, carrying heavy weight, you know, so it's been tough for him. It's slowly coming down to where he should be. You know, that's why I had to get the epi claim on him now to get him into the race a bit better. But you've got lighter weights that are going to be hard horses to beat. But he loves the turf track, he loves the 1,000 metres, and he's going to be running. Buckinghamshire, 1,000 metres turf track, that's it. I've tried him further, I've tried him the poly, doesn't enjoy it. And he can be thereabouts with a lightweight.